I'm a home seller with the new changes in real estate that are done. So now I don't have to pay a buyer side real estate commission, right? That's the question. Do I have to pay a buyer side commission?
I'm a home seller. I know there's this recent change in real estate, so I don't have to pay a buyer side commission anymore.
This is Las Vegas Real Estate Now with local real estate expert Harvey Blankfeld.
Okay, so let me start by saying you never did.
Okay.
Okay, that there was never a rule that said, "Oh my goodness, you have to." It was one of those costs that was kind of built into the tradition of sales because buyers coming to the table with a certain amount of cash, so the system was built in such that the seller would help pay that. But it was built into the price of the home.
Right.
It was built into the price of the home. So it was part of the normal, much like a transfer tax here in Nevada is normally quote unquote a seller expense in a resale transaction.
Okay.
Much like title insurance, owner's title policy is normally a seller expense. Much like other things, a home inspection or appraisal, those are normally buyer's side. They're assigned to certain sides based on somewhat arbitrary reasons, but not necessarily, but they become tradition. And so that was, now what happened recently was now we can't market that cooperative commission that a seller can offer to a buyer's agent in multiple lists. Interestingly enough, a lot of agents are marketing it elsewhere.
Right. I was going to say they're definitely marketing, and I get a lot of those emails that say the seller willing to pay.
Yeah.
They're using the word concessions or they're using other words, but
some of them are using co-op. They're just saying, "Hey, I've seen it in email advertisements. I've seen it in newspaper. I've seen it in magazines. I've seen co-op. That word's still being used by realtors outside of MLS. So we're not allowed to say it in MLS. So what has that done? So as a seller, here's what I would say. I don't think your costs really change that much. And actually, we did talk about the settlement. As a matter of fact, let me bring this article. This is interesting. I have an article.
You have something written down?
I do have something.
Okay.
This is from Patrick Blennerhaus wrote this on the 4th of December. The headline is Wild Wild West, Realtor Settlement Says Vegas Market in Uncharted Territory. And in this, he talks about the change. And I'm going to read right from the article. A massive National Association of Realtors settlement that was supposed to cause realtor commissions to decline. I'm not sure that's what it's supposed to do, but that's what he's saying.
Right.
Hasn't done so, according to a new study. The average buyer's agent commission for homes sold across the nation in the month of October was 2.34%, virtually unchanged from August when it was 2.35%. So the cost of selling has not changed.
Right.
And that was not, in my estimation, that was not the plan. It was not to reduce commissions, but to just make them more transparent.
The whole settlement and
Yeah.
the class action was all about transparency.
Transparency. So that buyers were negotiating directly with their agent how much their agent would earn based on representing them, as opposed to being subject to whatever the seller might offer in any particular home. The buyer's agent would just accept that. So now the buyer's agent, truth is that I can tell you that for some people it's actually gone up. The rate's gone up because they're negotiating directly with their buyer and saying, "Hey, I'm an experienced agent here. I've been working so many years. You want my services? They're going to cost this much." So I think that was one thing. I heard, years ago, the Justice Department was here in the Valley interviewing key people in our market about this very issue.
I heard about this.
And one of the great comments was the lawyers were interviewing a prominent person here, and they were suggesting to him that, hey, listen, whatever realtor you hire, you're getting basically the same service, and they should all, So what's the deal? So the retort from that person who was a prominent person in the real estate community here, he said, "Listen, let me ask you this." He asked the lawyers, "All of you equal? Do all of you get the same? Should all of you get the same amount of money, regardless of who you are?"
To the lawyer.
To the lawyer, yeah, to the attorney. And of course, he said, "Well, no. I mean, I'm experienced. I'm from Harvard Law and this, that, and the other. So I deserve more money than a guy who just came out of community college."
But if it's just about what you pay, I should get the same result regardless of the lawyer because I pay the same price.
Exactly.
Right?
So that retort kind of got them twisted a little bit, and they understood. Oh, gee, yeah, maybe some realtors are better than others, and maybe some realtors aren't as good as others, and they don't deserve as much. But the point there is it boiled down to the idea that a buyer's agent, if I was representing a buyer, I did not negotiate my compensation with that buyer. I before this.
Right.
I mean, if I didn't have an agreement, I didn't. And so I was just subject to whatever that seller was willing to offer on that particular house. Not that I couldn't. I could have had a buyer broker agreement, but as an agent, I just didn't do it. I just, I left it to that.
You had a little bit of layer of protection with the MLS and the co-op.
That's the thing. I knew what I was going to get.
Right.
So now people are kind of stuck on the idea that, gee, maybe the seller doesn't have to pay. Well, they don't. They never really did, but they do, and they did, and it was part of their marketing strategy. Hey, I'm gonna sell the house for $10, and I'm gonna offer your agent 50 cents to represent you as part of the cost of me selling this house. That was part of the marketing. Now it's not. So that's the big change. The big change is just all about transparency. Unlike this article where he suggests that the change was designed to lower commissions, it was not designed to lower commissions. And I would tell you, in the short term, it's not going to. Market conditions don't seem to be driving that.
Not at all.
And even when market conditions change, I would suggest that when it becomes tougher for buyers agents are going to still want to hang on and get paid a reasonable amount of money as long as their buyers can afford it. They're going to want to do that. So I don't know that it's going to change all that much overall.